one of the beefs I have with Hassan. Why is he using this font? This is gross. This is Sean DeBlack. He has nothing to do with this. I don't know why he's in this video. It is just the worst video essay I've ever seen. Thank you for the hydrate. Where do I begin? This is a mess. Okay, so it all starts with Leftovers podcast, arguably. Are we familiar with Leftovers podcast?
No.
Okay, so Leftovers podcast was a podcast that that Ethan from H3H3 Productions and Hassan Piker, Hassanabi on Twitch, had together. It was like a liberal or like leftist podcast that was like going over politics, and Hassan was like supposed to be like the political expert or whatever, because he's a politics streamer. I get it. So everything's going well, except for there's a pivotal moment in which the world changed for many people, and I shouldn't be. I mean, this is serious. October 7th happens, and Ethan is Jewish, right? And Ethan has always been and still remains pro-Palestinian. He's against Netanyahu. He doesn't agree with anything that Netanyahu says, but Ethan also believes that Jewish people have a right to exist, and that an attack like this is not right. And I think that obviously as a Jewish person, his wife is Jewish, and I mean his babies, his children are ethnically Jewish. I don't know if they like have a practicing religion. And obviously that's not even my business. Like, it shouldn't matter. Like, they obviously have an affiliation with Israel. Ela lived in Israel, and she was just like all citizens of Israel, had to register for the Israeli Defense Force because it was her time to serve, and she served it as a secretary. But, you know, they eventually, because of this position, have a breakup with Hassan, because Hassan is very pro-Palestinian. I would say in a bad way. Like, there's pro-Palestinian, like a reasonable person, and then there's pro-Palestinian in like an anti-Semitic way. Unfortunately, I believe that Hassan, I don't know if he's actively anti-Semitic, but he says a lot of things that are anti-Semitic. And he also just, I mean, I could do a whole stream just about my beef with Hassan Piker, my personal disagreements with him. Not that it's obviously one-sided, but I just don't agree with the way that he talks about politics, the way that he talks about the world, and the way that he operates. I just find him to be not productive. So
it's like a casual viewer of Hassanabi. Like, I always found like I can't tell if his view or like his approach or like the content style is just like that because that's what sells. Like he's very inflammatory, right? The way he talks about things. And it's like, and I get that even in the mainstream media, that's why people watch, right? That's what people get, what gets people's attention. So I'm just like, I don't know if it's I don't know what came first. I don't know if he was always like that, or if he grew to become more inflammatory and like provocative and just a sensationalist because that's so I don't know. So that's also part of the reason why I'm just like I can't be like a fan of him because it's not a productive way to have a discussion. Yeah, and it's very aggressive. So yeah, I hear where you're coming from.
Yeah, and also like I disagree with the way that he has handled U.S. politics.
Flag, screaming fucking death to America, some shit. Are you fucking kidding me?
He consistently, more often than you would hope, does death threats on politicians, says like unhinged stuff about like streets running with blood.
It's hurt poor people that they can afford housing in Berkeley. I don't know how that works.
Well, my understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers in a video game. Sorry. Holy shit. Murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude. Oh my god, in a video game, of course.
NFL
Holy shit. Right? Holy fucking shit, dude. Sorry. I meant in a video game.
I mean, this is different and less violent, but he told people not to vote for Kamala Harris. He's like literally, I think he's the #1 most viewed political pundit in America, and he told his fan base not to vote. Like, it's possible that he had a large hand in why we lost. It's hard to attribute that responsibility, right? But it's not impossible to see how he could. And he's shown terrorist propaganda on stream. He's brought a Houthi terrorist on stream. Somebody like the Houthi terrorist, Hassan will say, is like not. He's not a terrorist. He's just some guy, and he was just a guest.
What has happened to, does he know what has happened to any of the crews? Like, I heard they tried, wasn't it called CAT? The chewing the lead? CAT.
إنه
Are they having a good time? Are they okay?
والله الصدق يعني مستمتعين يعني كلهم يعني وعايشين الوضع الحمد لله يعني جو خرافي وأتمنى أنتم تزوروا الجو هذا كلكم. أيوة كلهم جربوا القات حتى قبطان السفينة خزن.
He's saying they've all tried COT, including the captain of the ship that he went on. He's saying that the vibes are immaculate.
No way.
He's saying he wants us to visit.
Oh, dude, I would love to one day. I am afraid of America bombs, though. That's what I'm
a Houthi terrorist on stream. Somebody like the Houthi terrorist, Hassan will say, is like not. He's not a terrorist. He's just some guy, and he was just a guest. But the guy literally on his own social media platform was like, yes, I'm a Houthi. So it's like, and he's like on stream in the interview talking about how like he's hanging out with like Chinese hostages, which is like just wild.
Damn.
And it'd be one thing if he was like a skilled reporter and like doing pushback and investigative reporting and all that. But no, he was just letting him say that stuff. He was hyping him up, and he just like, it was just completely irresponsible. But anyway, so Hassan Piker and Ethan have a podcast called Leftovers, and the podcast stops. They break up because Ethan believes that like Israeli people should like deserve some empathy, and that I mean, I think one of the arguments was that one of the big arguments, I think Ethan talked, and if anybody has clips on this, please send them in the chat, so that like, but I'm just going off of memory here. I'm pretty sure Ethan asked him about what about baby settlers, and Hassan was like, well, they're settlers too.
Palestinians, and this is going to sound very radical and possibly very violent, but this is a matter of law, and maybe even if you agree with this, a matter of morality. Palestinians have the legal ground to violently seize back their own homes from these settlers. This is a reality, and that is precisely the reason why they have to exist under endless occupation in the West
You know
Bank.
what? And that's why I say, if it was settlers, that would be a lot more understandable. Yeah. But let's not obfuscate, okay? I understand what you're saying. But this dude just called babies militants.
No, I understand. And there are baby settlers as well. But there are baby settlers as well. There are babies in the settlements.
But the babies that killed were not.
I know.
Okay, so
now that we established that. Yeah. No, hold on. Now that we established that.
That was one of their big disagreements. But this basically puts Ethan at odds with the entirety of the online left. So now everybody is calling him and his wife Zionist, which, look, I am of the opinion that I hate to be the both sides guy, but I think it's just the true opinion, right? Like, as much as we'd like to play team sports about wars and stuff, like, the reality is that it's not a soccer game. It's not football, right? It's like a war with real problems. And obviously Israel aggravated Hamas. They aggravated the Palestinian people by settling in their territory, and in the same way, Hamas has done really terrible things. That both sides have done atrocious things to each other, and we can argue about like power differentials and the nuances of it, but the reality is that neither of these things, that like we should not be okay with either of the things that, like, any of the things that either one of them are doing to each other. So, man, there's just so much. I would say the majority of the online left commentary space, in the ones that are doing big numbers, especially on Twitch, are Hassan Piker and his sort of like group, his online leftist group, which you can all see in a video here. But we'll get to that because we're moving forward in the timeline here. So people like Mike from PA is a political streamer. He's a socialist streamer. You have Hassan, who is a communist socialist streamer. You have Denims, who's a socialist streamer. And there's, what's that other guy? That he just like inserted himself into the video. But yeah, the online leftist groups, they're all like staunchly pro-Palestinian. And as somebody that cares about history, world history, I think you can criticize the Israeli government and the military actions that they've taken. I think you can criticize them without being anti-Semitic. Unfortunately,
absolutely,
most people in the online leftist space are incapable of this. Like, for some reason, they use Zionist as a dog whistle. Like, they just say Zionist, but they mean Jewish people. It's just like completely like, what the heck? It's the horseshoe theory. Like, you've become so radically left that you're just a Nazi. Like, you just did a full loop to the right. So yeah, and so they're calling. It's just, it upsets me because I think the way that I was educated, and my father was a history teacher, and we focused a lot on the Holocaust because it is an example in history of something that it's like the worst thing that humanity could do to each other. And the Jewish people, for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason people around the world are okay with making them the scapegoats for everything. One of the things that I did when I was at this the Division 32 psychology conference on my water bottle, is there was a lecture on anti-Semitism and psychology, And after October 7th, people that are pro-Palestine have been comfortable with doing things that are completely unacceptable, in my opinion. One of the things that they were talking about in this researcher and professor and psychologist, she does a lot of research on like Jewish psychologists, what the experience of what it's like to be a Jewish psychologist. And she was talking about, when she was talking to other Jewish psychologists, there's this feeling of Jewish people have had a really strong influence in leftist politics. They have been integral to the movement. And now they find themselves in a situation where they're politically homeless. The right obviously doesn't like them. They are pretty anti-Semitic, so you don't want to side with the right. But now the left, which many Jewish people have worked a long time, perhaps their whole lives, to sort of progress leftist ideals and politicians and movements, they now are ousted from those positions, and they're not welcome there either, in the communities that they helped build. And this is pretty upsetting to me to hear about this, but there was a person that was emailing people that had, so on Psychology Today and a lot of databases where you can try to find therapists, you can look for therapists that share your religion, because it's an important part of the human experience, and many people want to find a psychologist that might understand what it's like to be of their religion. And somebody went to a bunch of Jewish psychologists and emailed them, "I'm looking for a Zionist psychologist." Zionist just means Zionist just means that you believe that people that Jewish people should have a land of their own, right? It does not mean that they're pro-genocide. It does not mean that they support Netanyahu. It does not mean that they endorse, the persecution and execution and, all the human rights violations happening to the Palestinian people. It does not mean that. It just means that they believe that Israel should be a country. But this person...
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, yes, that is the definition of the word, but it's so hard to, like, in general, like, especially in this political climate and in this context, like, how easy would it, I don't know if easy is the word, how easy would it be to continue that conversation by inserting that word Zion? I'm looking for like a Zionist therapist, and expect the listeners and like other people to interpret it the way it should have been interpreted, instead of being like, oh, this person is pro genocide,
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I understand so basically what you're saying is, how do we know that the therapist was communicating it in that way, that they weren't using it in the way that a lot of people online are using it now? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think an important contextual clue here is that the timing of it. Pre-October 7th, Zionism wasn't really a dog whistle for anything. So if you were looking for a Zionist therapist, that would just be somebody that aligns with the belief that Israel should be a country. But, obviously after October 7th, it took a little bit for the talking points to be established. And so I'm not certain. I wasn't in those emails, but I assume based on the timeline that in the context that I was given, that this is pre that usage of Zionist. Yeah, I don't know if that clears it up for you.
I guess so.
Yeah, but I think, the bad part though is that this person that was emailing looking for a Zionist therapist, they ended up taking the emails of every single one of these psychologists and making a blacklist and doxing all of those therapists that responded to that email. Like, yeah, sure. I mean, I can see you as a Jewish therapist. So even if you disagree with, even if they had said that I'm a Zionist therapist, right? And they meant it in the context of now. I mean, I don't know if that's okay, because now you're bringing people's families into it, you know. So that was upsetting, but anyway, if I'll continue on catching people up to this drama.
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, since you're talking about Zionists, I was just listening, but it's a bit off topic from whatever you're talking. You know, recently, my country, we have like a synagogue in my country. It was, I don't want to label people, so I'm sorry for what I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a supporter of Palestine, I am, whoever, if anyone in the, you know, the Twitch stream is a Palestine supporter, I am not assuming, I will just clarify, I will just say this, I am not saying that you're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this group of Palestinian supporters who went to the oldest synagogue in my country and attempted to basically destroy the place.
Mm-hmm.
In hope of getting rid of all the Jews in the country, because I according to the rabbi, they were claiming that they were Zionist.
Mm-hmm.
Post October 7th Zionist. The word Zionist, I'm referring to the post October 7th.
Mm-hmm.
The pre October 7th is not so used to it in terms of how often it was thrown around. But they were destroying the synagogue, and then they basically somehow gotten the entire synagogues, like both the laity and the priests, so and so forth, their numbers, and basically emailed them between themselves. I think it resulted in one suicide.
Yeah.
The amount of doxing they did. So what they did was they took that person's number, you know, harassed him daily, threatened to kill his family even.
Mm-hmm.
And he got to the point that the guy couldn't take it and he just killed himself.
Yeah.
Which is quite sad, to be honest. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, you don't want that to happen to anybody. Yeah, go ahead. If anybody has like any pushback, you know, please feel free. These are things that are nuanced. For me, my position is not that, like, I am more concerned about the anti-Semitism. Like, we can criticize Israel and these things without dog whistling and being anti-Semitic. But if people disagree with certain things, like, please feel free. Yeah. And yeah, feel free to ask any questions as well. So if we move along in this timeline, I got a little sidetracked. But the online leftist movement, in summary, is pretty anti-Semitic for whatever reason. And so they've Ethan and Hila of H3H3 Productions, they've been receiving death threats, and they've been on the receiving end of a lot of online harassment, which, I mean, to be fair to other people, if you're of the perspective that there is a genocidal country that is... Oh, thank you for the hydrate. Cheers. If you're of the opinion that there is a genocidal country, right, it is probably... I mean, I can see how it's justifiable to do a lot of these things. If a lot of these people, like Hassan, and Denims and all these other online political pundits for the left, they, how do I put this?
Like their angers are understandable.
Yeah, I empathize because they are of the opinion that it is like Nazism. They believe that this is a genocide, and they often use the Holocaust as an example. I will also say that it is a bit... there are interesting...
Excessive?
Well, it's just... It seems wrong to say that Jewish people are Nazis.
Damn.
Like, I understand what they're using. They're using the imagery and, like, the moral associations, right? But it seems wrong to tell Jewish people that they're like the people that systematically executed, like, they call it the Shoah, right? The people that persecuted them. And it doesn't... contextually, it's not the same. It's very different. But I understand. Like, if you believe that they are as bad as the Nazis, then that, I think, for a lot of people, that opens up a lot of... It justifies a lot of actions that I don't find to be justifiable in any way. Because if you're willing to do things that your enemies are doing, it's not... I don't know if you're any better than them. You know? Where was I? About... so, yeah, Ethan and Ela are getting death threats, and eventually, there's this guy named Bad Empanada. And he's had a history of doxing and of just a lot of bad things online. And he claims responsibility for calling Child Protective Services on Ethan and Ela. So
that's low.
Yeah, not good. Also, Ethan and Ela, like H3 Productions, H3 Podcast, they have specific online communities that target them for harassment. They're called Snark, H3 Snark, and they do a lot of harassment campaigns against Ethan and Ela. I mean, no matter what you believe in, it is not okay to target people's families with Child Protective Services are understaffed, underfunded, and they shouldn't be using their time and resources to check out child protective complaints against people that don't deserve it. And this is where we get caught up to the current day beef. In a stream with... So, Denims, who is a political Twitch streamer, she on stream reviews a Bad Empanada video where he talks about how Ethan and Ela gave their kids Giardia because their dog crapped in the house. And then he argues that, you know, Child Protective Services should be called and that kind of thing. And Denims basically, from Ethan's perspective, contributed to the CPS being called on his family. And Idubbbz is friends with Denims, is friends with a lot of these content creators that have been targeting Ethan and Ela for harassment. And Ethan is basically like, yo, dude, because he's been friends with Idubbbz and Anissa, Ian and Anissa, for 8 years, I believe. And he's basically like, yo, your friends are saying really terrible stuff about me and my wife, and like saying that our kids are like getting diseases because we're bad parents. Like, if you could just say something like, hey, we've been to their house, they're not bad parents. If you guys could just say that, that would be like, that would mean a lot. And Idubbbz is basically like, no, I can't do that because I disagree with your takes on Israel and Palestine. Which to me is like not relevant. Like, if you like, I have many people with whom I have political disagreements with, but if somebody called CPS on them, I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's not okay. And I would speak up for them because it's unrelated.
But
Go ahead.
I mean, why involve? Yeah, go ahead.
It's ironic people would use the whole Palestine and Israel war against people. It ruins families. Yeah, I'm just gonna put it that way.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of funny cases in my when I was helping out with the social service in my country. So it's bad to the point the police need to step in because of this. No matter your views on this war, I don't think that should play into a role of helping people.
Yeah.
If you support Israel, good for you. Support Palestine, good for you. Set that aside, just help. I mean, it's not difficult.
Yeah, and we're currently at the point where I see police cruisers outside of synagogues here in California to protect them against hate crimes because they're Jewish. That's not okay.
My synagogue, you have to go through, I think, six step security procedure just to enter. You need to declare a shit ton of stuff. You cannot even carry your bag into the synagogue. No phones allowed. Basically, if you're wearing specs, no specs as well. They're just going to strip you down of anything that seems to be a camera or can be presumed to be a camera. Then you just go in.
Yeah, and you were saying, Iki, as well?
What was I gonna say? I mean, basically what you said. I just why involve children? Like, there's I mean, it's obviously just foolishness,
yeah,
immaturity, and not being able to deal with conflicts in a mature, civil way. Maybe just like I'm angry because I work with kids, but I'm so dumb. So dumb. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, and so we're looking at Content Cop right here on the screen here. This is the video. This question is regarding the use of the word Zionist in general. Yes, the meaning of the word we've talked about is that it's just of the belief that they are deserving of a homeland, which they are, everybody is, but then also I think it's pretty difficult to detach that word from the bad stuff because of how the belief has been reinforced historically. Not excusing the person who doxed it. Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, I mean, I think that it is a legitimate criticism to question people that are Zionist because there are some interesting implications about like who has the right to be in that area. I'm not saying that we shouldn't question Zionists, but I'm rather saying we shouldn't call all Jewish people Zionist. Because often
that's not true.
Right, it's not true. And it's just we're now at a place politically where people are just using the word Zionist to say Jewish person. And that's not okay.
It's just oversimplified, reductive, and just it's a lazy excuse for people to just hate on, well, Jewish people.
Right. Yeah. It's just like I get it, and like we should criticize. Oh, you didn't hear a lot. I see. Basically, I'm saying like Zionism is worth, like the ideology is worth criticizing, That's fine. Like, you can criticize that. There are criticizable things in that ideology. Where I personally draw the line is we shouldn't be using the word Zionist to describe Jewish people, because that's where we are as a leftist movement right now, and that's not okay. And that's a summary of what I said, I think. So
like I guess it's almost just about as reductive and oversimplified or even misleading as like just being like, oh, if you're pro-Palestine, then you're pro-Hamas.
yeah, which is I would disagree with that too. If somebody was like, yeah, I'm pro-Palestinian, and I was like, oh, so you support October 7th? Like, that's...
It's like, you're no better then if you say it that way.
Right, and that's not okay. I'm not okay with anti-Semitism. I'm not okay with Islamophobia either. You know, it's like, just because you're Muslim does not mean that you support terrorists.
I mean,
they have nothing to do with each other.
My school has been educating people on this thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone's the same. So, recently we had this very we got this as we deal with how do I say? I deal with a lot of students, so the students would say shit that's not okay. We have this new Jewish student who dropped out because a bunch of Muslim students were harassing him. No, I'm not, and I repeat, I am not labeling all people are the same. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's not the race thing that's wrong, it's the people that are wrong. Every time I bring up this thing, people assume that I'm being racist, so I have to stress this again. It's the people I'm bringing up, not the race. I pity it's always the Jewish students I pity, because they are, especially after October 7th, they always get bullied.
Right, and
because apparently they have ties back to Israel and how the bombings of Palestine. I'm like, there's no connection.
right, and also it's worth pointing out that on both sides, the people often disagree with their governments. There was just an anti-Hamas protest in Palestine, which is wild if you think about it. Hamas is not pro-democracy. They don't allow free speech. These people that were going out in protest, they went out there accepting that they could die. And there was how many? Like, there was hundreds of people, if I'm correct. Let's see. I'll look this up.
But I think
Hamas protests in Gaza.
About Hamas producing supposed shows for children that are apparently propaganda. I'm not so sure on that, but apparently there's a documentary on it.
Yeah.
You should search it out.
So pro-Hamas. Yeah, hundreds of people have taken part in the largest anti-Hamas protest in Gaza. They're not in support of this, and also the Israeli people don't, like, not all of them agree with Netanyahu either, or with the treatment of Palestinians. Many of them have friends. Like, before all of this happened, and before, like, tensions got worse in the, however many years ago, like, people could travel in between and had friends, like, in Palestine and in Israel, right? So it's just, it doesn't make sense to equate Jewish people or to equate Palestinians with the movements that they're just subjects in a larger problem, so this is where we get into this is like the political underpinnings of the Idubbbz versus Ethan beef. I'll just show you. If we think about, so the day that CPS was called on Ethan and Hila, they did a stream in which they called out the Bad Empanada and all the people that claim responsibility for these things. And you know, were justifiably upset with Idubbbz for not saying anything. With Ian, Ian is Idubbbz, his name, and Anissa is his wife. They're angry with them because they, it's, yeah, I'm so flustered because it's just so bizarre to me on how you could think this is okay. I'll show you guys a little clip of this video because contextually, if you think about it, this is Idubbbz making an intro to a video with all the people that are implicated in calling CPS on them. So this is the beginning of the content cop. I'll just skip. Actually, no, I'll just play it from here.
Surprisingly dangerous. Consider the fucking thing in our defense. Like, actually, Hila's not a baby killer. Actually, accusing Ethan of killing his dog is maybe too far because they have mobilized such an insane harassment group.
Also, if you hear coughing, Ethan apparently has Tourette's.
They will attempt to ruin their
So
lives.
that's one of his tics.
The crazy one. It's not bad enough that I have this group of what we do here.
Alright, so that's that. I'm just gonna skip this because it's a bunch of useless stuff. It's just entertainment. So this is where the real intro begins and where I think this is like messed up.
What's up, everybody? I'm Hassan Piker, and this is the Hassan broadcast coming to you live from a cloudy day here in California, Los Angeles. We're live on a
Also, one of the beefs I have with Hassan, why is he using this font? This is gross.
I hope all the boys, girls, and MBs are having a fantastic one because today's a beautiful day.
Disgusting.
I have a very important announcement. I've finally done it. I watched Ethan Klein's content nuke, and I'm not going to call it context puke as I normally do because the reality of the matter is it was brilliant. Nothing was out of context. Everything was correct. I am an Islamist, fundamentalist, radical terrorist. I am.
So, one of the things that Ethan did and what Hassan is referring to is in their disagreements about Israel and Palestine, and Hassan's wild comments about it, Ethan made a content nuke, like a video in which he detailed how he disagrees with Hassan and that like he finds him to not be a good person anymore. And Hassan has pretty much done everything but actually watch the video. And so he's saying like, oh, I finally watched it. I honestly don't think he actually watched it. I think he's just saying it for the video.
Vicious anti-Semite. It's true. Most important.
That was one of his criticisms, that he was anti-Semitic, which is
and also mentally.
probably true.
I've been lying about everything, including my glasses. They're fake. He was right about that. That's not even in the content nuke, and he was right about that too. How did he know? That's not even everything. How? Wake up, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Ethan, wake up.
Wakey, wakey, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Wake up. Time to be awake, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan.
Okay, hold on. We gotta do our cast of characters here. So this is Ian, Idubbbz, if you're unaware. The person that was speaking was Hassan. This is Denims here, to put a face to the name.
This is no longer a dream. This is a nightmare. Wake up.
Ethan, the dumb bitch is telling you to wake up.
For context, Ethan called Denims a dumb B-word because he thinks that she's responsible for calling CPS on his children, which honestly, if it's true, okay, say whatever. That's Frogan. I'm just not even gonna give her any attention. This is Sean DeBlack. He has nothing to do with this. I don't know why he's in this video. He's literally he hasn't been part of any of this. Frogan, who is the lady in the hijab here, just is part of this beef because Ethan silently unfollowed her. and she didn't like that, and so it became a whole big drama for nothing.
Since anyone? Just wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up. Wake up, Ethan.
That's Frogan.
I'm not gonna do a react content yet, chat.
I'm the same. Nobody's telling you to wake up, Ethan.
Ooh, yummy. I love Sabra hummus.
Okay, the Sabra thing, I think I talked about this on stream. This is something that I find wild. Frogan and her friends, her political friends, and Denim's was part of this as well, did a tier list of who has the Habibi pass. Basically, who can say Habibi. And the top one, I think, was like, what was the top category? It was something like can say Habibi. And the bottom category was Sabra lover. Sabra is, from what I understand, an Israeli type. It's like an Israeli brand of hummus. So basically, they made an Arab to Jew tier list, which it's not good. That's why Sabra is in the video. All right. And also, I have no idea why Sean DeBlack is in, and that's his username. I don't understand why he chose that. Okay, so basically what Idubbbz did, he disagrees with his politics, so he went to Hassan's house and filmed the intro to a video criticizing Ethan for his politics with all the people that are, except for Sean DeBlack. I have no idea why he's there. He made a video with all the people that have something to do with him being harassed online and having CPS called on him. Which is like, okay, that's just a terrible thing to do to somebody. And I'm not even going to play the rest of this video. It's an hour long. And if you want, you can waste your time on this. It is just the worst video essay I've ever seen. It takes so many things out of context. And we'll see. I think we can get more. We can understand this video more through Ethan's response than through actually watching this. Because this is just a waste of time. And I'm not going to waste your guys' time. So instead, I'm going to show you guys this.
Known as Idubbbz, released a content cop about me. His video's over an hour long and it's full of a lot of accusations. We watched the entire video, every frame of it, responded to every accusation on the podcast in a really long episode. We watched the whole thing, so if you're interested in a more thorough response,
he did like a 5-hour response video.
I would recommend watching this episode. The video that I'm making today, however, I don't need an hour for, because there's really just one central point that I want to make here. My good friend Ian, in his hour-long takedown, did not mention one time Child Protective Services. Not.
So, his point here, the thing you're getting with these people is, for people trying to represent the left, they just seem so detached to the point that it's almost mocking the people they think they're trying to represent. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Hassan is the #1 socialist streamer. He advocates for pretty far left ideology. And he owns a $3 million house, I believe in the Hollywood Hills. He owns a Porsche, and he wears designer clothes. And he goes to, like, luxury... He goes to luxury events like Coachella and, you know, all these other things. Like, is this your socialist? Is this your communist king? Are these the... like, that doesn't seem to be in line with his ideology. And also for, like... Yeah, we could sit here all day and I could talk about this. This is a joke. Yeah. It's just... Are these the people representing us? This just seems wrong. Yeah, they definitely are they end up embodying a lot of what they disagree with. It's just, yeah, it's upsetting. Because, you know, if you're conservative, right, and you go online to look for people that are left, like, on the left, to look at their views, and you see these people, is this really what you want to see? Like, that's not a good not a good representation.
One time in the entire video, he never says CPS. No mention, no explanation, no overview, nothing.
So, yeah, this is one thing. Throughout this entire video, this content cop on H3, he brings up a lot of unhinged clips of Ethan and Hila. And he brings up how, like...
Stood by Idubbbz and Anissa more than anybody. I've stood by them.
So, in this video right here, Ethan is talking about, like, I've stood by Ethan and or Ian and Anissa.
All the internet hated them.
I don't like that Ethan brought.
So, throughout Idubbbz's controversies, Ethan is saying that he stood up for him. But he's upset because they're not standing up for him. And in this video, Idubbbz is making it seem like... Also, that's such a... You know, I'm just going to leave it because he deserves it, but that's just a brutal freeze frame. Idubbbz is making it seem like Ethan is criticizing him for not siding with him on Israel-Palestine, for disagreeing with his politics. These clips that he's using have nothing to do with Israel-Palestine in the sense that, like, directly. I mean, it's involved in, like, why CPS was called in the first place. But he's saying that he is disappointed in them because they had CPS called on them, and Idubbbz isn't defending him. It's more of like a friend thing than a politics thing. And Idubbbz is making it seem, by taking the context out, that, like, you've been my friend for 8 years, we've defended you, and you won't side with me on Israel-Palestine. That's not what he's saying. He's saying you won't side with me on the fact that people are trying to get the government to take away my kids.
Up because it makes the relationship feel very transactional, like...
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Zero mentions of CPS. A few weeks ago, Child Protective Services showed up to our house at 6 a.m. to interrogate us about an anonymous tip they got that our kids were crawling around and eating dog shit at catching diseases. Ian spends the majority of his video characterizing me like a raving lunatic who's lashing out at everyone around me with zero provocation.
Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other creators, maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace and we can, like, rekindle our friendship. And I feel like I am speaking up for a lot of people who have problems with you, and a lot of people who have been on the receiving end of your harassment.
What he doesn't say is the majority of these clips he's using are taken from this episode.
There you go.
Now, does he ever show the title of this episode? No, he does not ever show the title of this episode. Snark called Child Protective Services on us. Not only does he not show the title, he doesn't explain why I'm upset, who I'm mad at, why I'm mad at them. Zero context. I am just an anonymous, screaming lunatic.
It's been
So, we end up here, and my criticism of these people often has nothing to do with their personal politics. It often has to do with their character. This isn't, to me, this isn't an issue that has anything to do with Israel-Palestine. This is somebody being a terrible friend and being unempathetic and cruel to somebody that they knew for 8 years. And, like, Hassan Piker, I don't have beef with him because he supports Palestine and doesn't and disagrees with Israel. I don't support him, and I don't like his politics because he is inflammatory. He often advocates for death and like physical threats of violence. He advocated for people not to vote for Kamala Harris in the last election. And he does a lot of things that I find to be unrelated to his politics and more have to do with his character. Like, he doesn't live the way that he preaches. Denims, I don't even really care about that much, but she just doesn't seem to be. She's just putting on the stream and clocking in hours. I don't think she gives a crap. And Idubbbz, like I said, he's just not being a good friend, not being a good person, and that's what I'm more concerned about. Because, and maybe I'm biased as somebody that's studying psychology, but these larger movements are comprised of individual people. If we all had the same virtues, if we all believed in like the power of being a good friend, of nonviolence, of not wanting to harm other people, we wouldn't be in any of these situations to begin with. But we let our hatred, we let our ignorance, we let our anger control us, and we end up in these situations where we're not being good people. So what is the solution? We can hold ourselves responsible and try to be the best people that we can be. Be understanding and empathetic just like we would be to other people. If this content cop was a good faith, empathetic response to Ethan, then I don't think anybody would have a problem with it. The reason why I think so many people are saying that Idubbbz is being a bad person has to do with him taking clips out of context, being unempathetic, and just be a good person.
Hanging out with you, I've enjoyed your content over the years, and as of late, it's gotten really fucking shitty.
And also, he's minimizing their friendship.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Who else? Who else do we want to burn today?
Who else do we want to burn today? You're making it so fucking obvious that this is your emotional dumping ground. It's horrible. This is not what podcasts are. There was a way to approach this to say
who would have thought that talking about how people online called Child Protective Services would have been an emotional dumping ground? I feel like... Okay.
We feel hurt by you guys not saying something. You've decided to do...
A problem with these people is they start to attach themselves to this idea that they're an image of these ideologies that puts them on a pedestal in the way is being used, where criticism of them as characters, as individual people, is presented as a symbol of an attack to the ideologies they represent, becomes a blur. Yeah, I think that's why a lot of this happened in the first place, because Ethan criticized Hassan, criticized his character and his specific beliefs in the way that he was conducting himself. He criticized those things, and people saw it as an attack to their ideology, which I can bring in my my education here as somebody's just a student. I've done a post in the Discord server. I put one of my discussion posts on how politics and terror management theory are related to each other. Studies have found that when you remind people of death, they become more entrenched in their beliefs. In terror management theory, and there are plenty of holes. I've criticized it a bunch. I'm not sure how much I prescribe, but I think there's some truth to it. In terror management theory, there's a disconnect. We have an anxiety around death. We as humans have a self-awareness. We know that there is death. And we are also aware that it can come at any point in time. And this creates anxiety. The way that people in terror management theory, according to terror management theory, the way that people try to alleviate or defend against death anxiety is by creating what are called proximal and distal defenses. So proximal defenses are, if you think about proximal, right? Proximity, close. Proximal defenses are immediate responses. So in this situation, let's say you are looking at October 7th footage. You're seeing people call into radio stations and begging for their life, as many Jewish people did on October 7th. Or, on the other hand, you see what's happening in Gaza, right? You're seeing all the atrocities, like the bombings, bombing hospitals, starvation, drought, not receiving aid. That's a reminder of your mortality. It's a reminder of that death exists. And so a way that we defend it proximally through our proximal defenses is by an immediate reaction, right? So that might be you change the channel. That might be that you turn away. That might be that you distract yourself with something else, right? That's a proximal defense, proximal defense. The other way that we defend is through something called distal defenses. Distal, distance, far away, right? Distal defenses are things like worldview, ideology, relationships, something that we call like immortality projects, symbolic immortality. We try to create a life, create beliefs that help us not think about death as much. So if you think about Christianity has a belief in everlasting life after death. If you're a Christian, so that alleviates some of your death anxiety. If you're in a world where atheism is increasingly prevalent, that's not even evaluative. I'm not putting any value on that. I don't have any judgment towards that. It's just what is happening. People increasingly find solace in political ideology. So if you think about it, a large reason why things feel so tense is because people have a lot more invested in their political ideology, because their political ideologies are providing a lot of the same things for them. It's providing you a way to feel moral, to feel like a good person, that after death, something good will come of your life. So if you're invested in politics, maybe that means that you invested yourself into political movements. You went on marches, you signed, you voted for different politicians, you signed, I don't know, like, what are they called? Oh my God. Petitions. Yeah, you sign petitions. And the belief is, after your death, that your actions will live on in a larger political movement, right? You get to transcend your fear of death through political ideology. And we can see in this that people, like a lot of these influencers, will attach themselves to the ideology. And so whenever they feel like their symbolic... if you think about political ideology as a form of symbolic immortality, right? It's a way to become immortal, to have yourself. You've expanded what you see as yourself. You've expanded it to something larger than yourself. So now it feels like a threat, it's almost like threatening, existentially threatening yourself, because you've expanded your idea of self to include your political ideology. So when somebody threatens to kill, in quotation marks, your political ideology, it feels like a threat onto your physical existence, and so you become further entrenched in your ideology and thinking that you're unmistakable from it. So yeah, that's a great point, Wireless.
The extra thing, and
it also could have something to do with why Idubbbz is for some reason thinking that this is about Israel-Palestine and not about the CPS call, because maybe he's just afraid of like his way of life being threatened and not thinking about the empathy part, because the research on TMT has shown that people become less empathetic to people that they view to be different from them when they're reminded of death. They call it mortality salience.
In this episode,
and also, if you're interested in further reading, this is a big, annoying academic book, but Terror Management Theory, Handbook of Terror Management Theory, editors Routledge and Vess. I recommend that. And also, I think you can find some of the references in some of the posts that I've done in the Discord. Hearing the similarity of a possible reason of people attaching to religion and political ideology is cool. Yeah, and Terror Management Theory is based on this book. It's a winner of the Pulitzer Prize, The Denial of Death. I believe this is Ernest Becker. I believe he was a sociologist. So obviously this theory that a lot of the things that we do in life is to deny ourselves of being aware of our death is going to be implicated in politics, religion, culture, that kind of thing, because it came from somebody that was thinking about that kind of thing. And then terror management theory arose as a integration of Becker's work along with existential psychology, existential psychology, if you're interested in existential psychology, existential psychotherapy by Yalom, and then also with psychoanalysis and kind of humanistic psychology, but humanistic psychology and existential psychology are kind of, yeah.
CPS came to my home, I was understandably...
And also, if you think about it on Ethan's side, his children are I have a study here. Can't believe I'm bringing up my reference manager, talking about Idubbbz and Ethan. Crashed. Oops. They called it child continuity? Oh, descendant continuity. It's a Chinese study by Qi. Evidence that descendant continuity acts as a distal and proximal defense. But yeah, basically people use descendant continuity or like their children and how in alignment with their beliefs they are to defend against the anxiety of death. In according to this theory. So Child Protective Services, I mean, it's not impossible to think how parents can see threats to their children as a threat to their self, because parents extend their idea of the self and they often extend it to their children, which I would argue is probably not good for them. But, you know, we do a lot of things that aren't good for us.
it went into my real world, was affecting my children and my life in a way that I found extremely disturbing and an escalation that I found very unacceptable. Now,
Yeah,
why
I
am
agree.
mad at
It's not
you for
okay.
this? Well, let's start here.
And also, can I just say, I don't think it's an insane take just to think that it's not okay to call CPS on people. Am I crazy?
Is someone he's accusing me of in his video of harassing. Let's see what Denim said about my children.
Here we go,
3 days
Denims.
before CPS was called.
He lets his dogs shit all over his mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor, something that is probably related to the fact that his former housekeeper is suing him for a number of different reasons. So I would assume he doesn't actually have a housekeeper anymore, or perhaps he lost his extra housekeeper. So now the house is just like...
So this is all Denim's chat while they're talking about
he has
this.
Kids, and his kids like crawl into
CPS,
dog shit, and
child
God forbid,
endangerment.
I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it, or if it's just from like contact with it with their
Call
hands or
CPS.
something. But they contracted a parasite that I had
How is
previously
CPS
never
not
heard of in
involved
my
at this
life called
point?
Giardia, from
Call CPS.
The dog shit that is all
Is
over
this
his
true?
house.
Dude, how is it that like maybe once a week
Call CPS.
I look into what Ethan Klein's been up to, and every time
Child
I
Services
manage to
Alert.
find more and
California
more
Child
terrible
Protective Affairs,
shit.
where are
This is
you?
where Ethan tells a story about his family getting Giardia.
already have Mold Mondays. Now we have Shit Saturdays.
Also, this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children.
Also, I honestly don't even think that Denims is doing this maliciously. I think she's just clocking in. I think she's just doing streaming hours.
mean,
I don't think
much
she
like
actually
many other
gives a crap.
illnesses, It's very, very, very dangerous when infants get the same sicknesses that adults get. There are
Child
lots of
Protective
things you can get as an
Services,
adult,
child
you're
abuse.
Totally fine. You'll be a-okay. No problem.
Child neglect.
A child, a
CPS
small infant
again.
that has no immune
CPS.
system shouldn't be
Call
catching
CPS.
anything.
No wonder his house is covered in dog shit, and his neglected children raised by nannies have contracted parasites previously known to science from the feces. I wonder why he skipped over all of this, because everything that he said, everything that I said in this story...
So it's not impossible to see how
it was
Ethan
apparently compiled by his crew.
thinks
But
that.
no wonder this motherfucker's always sick.
It's not impossible to see how Ethan sees Denims to be partially responsible for why CPS is called on him and his family.
Yeah, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense now. It makes sense why he doesn't care about Palestinian children when he is neglecting his own. How are you? How?
Right.
Wait,
and
so I don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how calling CPS works in the States, but could the any of the viewers did they have called the CPS on them?
Let's see how to file a CPS report. I'm pretty sure anybody can do it. Yeah. And also, if you are in California and you are involved in mental health, you're a mandated reporter. So, probably know these numbers. So yeah, you can just, I'm pretty sure Ethan and Hila live in Los Angeles County. So you can, there's literally an online report tool. And also, I think from what it sounds like, and I'm not sure, that people coordinated. So if they're receiving a bunch of things, and also I think in the initial, I know in the initial video that they said, that they, in the podcast, that they first shared that CPS was called on them, they talked about how CPS basically said that somebody said that they were a family friend or that they were like a relative, and they visited the house and they saw that it was like a mess, and that like there was dog poop all over the floor, and that the kids were getting diseases, and that's why CPS came in, because I guess somebody posed as like a close person. I'm not, oh, oops, wrong video. Let's just close out of that. I don't need that.
How is it happening?
Imagine if none of the content creators involved in this drama actually called the CPS and it was just one of the viewers.
Wait, like, are you saying one of the people, like one of the content creators, imagine if one of them called it instead of, or the
Like,
other way around.
imagine if none of them actually called and it was just random people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it might have been random people, because honestly, most of the time, content creators don't actually do anything. Like, look at all these political content creators. Where are they at the protests? Where are they, like, canvassing?
Yeah, imagine all these people in drama. They think, like, they're accusing each other of calling the CPS, but it's actually none of them. That's my conspiracy theory.
No, I don't. I think you're right, but I think people that advocate for it, even if they don't do it. I mean, look at Denim's chat here. They're literally all saying CPS, CPS, CPS. Statistically, it's highly probable that between all of these people that are implicated in this incident, that one of, like, a couple of viewers, just, like, based on the numbers, it's not impossible to think that one of the viewers saw this as an endorsement that they should call CPS personally.
What is happening?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even make fun of people's
So
weight.
I would say that still makes them somewhat morally responsible.
I do make fun of people's posture. If
Oh,
you're
yeah.
making an active decision that, like, you don't give a fuck about your health or your posture or your dog
I
shitting
don't.
all...
We don't need to listen to that.
Meth-Zempic diet.
Called Denim's attempted to justify it by claiming that it's okay because children can't be traumatized.
I don't want you to create any bad memory here for them. Like, they are 5 and 3. They don't understand this shit. So I told him,
Create any bad memory for them. You're not forming memories at 3 years old, and it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5.
Yeah, I don't know. Denim's is like talking about posture. Like, that's why I skipped it. I was like, this is just useless. I don't care.
Nah, yes you are. No, you're not. When we're talking about being able to remember, being able to recall memories, it's like 4 is the cutoff.
The IQ counter
but
is
even
brilliant
if you
editing.
are forming any memories at 4, you're not going to be able to remember them past like 15.
Also, just factually incorrect.
Call memories, it's like, and it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5 years old.
It's very rare that people are forming memories at 5 years old. Let's see what a Google search will tell us. Oh, thanks for the posture check. Darn it, Denim's is watching. At what age do children start having memories? 3 to 4 years old. Retrievable long-term memories. Let's see. What did she say? Let's just cross-check this. Make sure that she's...
Memories at 3 years old, and it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5 years old. Nah, yes you are.
Okay, so very rare that children start forming memories at 5 years old. 3 to 4 years old. Let's see. At what age can a child have trauma? Maybe remember trauma. It might be better. And we're not even going to go to the AI overview. Review of the literature indicates striking similarities in the development of a young children's ability to recall traumatic and non-traumatic events. Events experienced before the age of about 18 months do not seem to be verbally accessible. Events experienced between about 18 months and 2.5 to 3 years are reported in fragmentary fashion, seem to be prone to increasing error over time. Age 3 years on, children can give reasonably coherent accounts of their past experiences and can retain these memories over long durations. The ways in which children are able to participate in conversations about events as they are occurring, and in retrospect, seems to play a critical role in their developing event memories. Implications of the empirical data for understanding trauma memory in childhood are discussed. Let me see if I can get this whole thing. Why is it not giving me the whole... like, sometimes you can... Let's see, can I copy link? I'll put this in my academic research. Let me just take the DOI part off. Oh my gosh, please. Hold on.
Craving furry.
Copy link. Please hold. Get access through my school.
Posture check, yeah, guys. Please sit comfortably.
Posture check.
Remember, posture check.
It's saying, I hate when this happens. It's so annoying. It like soft locks you into the web page and doesn't let you actually look at the thing. Can I like circumvent this by going to the issue?
You have to pay for an article?
No, it's sometimes with these websites they like say access through your institution and then they just don't. Hold on, wait, I might be able to get it.
Do you want me to use my school library?
If you can. Where is it? What was the children's recollections of... There we go. Go back. Go forward.
How do I send this to you?
You can send it in
discussion?
Yeah, sure. That works.
Definitely not breaking school law or anything. Haha.
No worries, yeah. If you can't talk, no worries. But yeah, it is always open. Also, the more that you chat, the more the number go up. So let's see. Let's just scroll to the relevant part. Role of language, blah 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 blah. Experience between 18 months through...
Oh, this is an old article.
Yeah, this is 19... I mean... But this kind of research doesn't really... It's pretty consistent, unless it's like treatment. Because it's... I mean, it's just saying like how early people remember. Which is, you can probably find things in like the late 1800s talking about this. That are probably still pretty accurate. Yeah, I mean, the references are old, but... But essentially, I mean, recollecting trauma Stressful experience such as getting sutures or severely traumatic events such as sexual abuse by the age of 3 years, children are able to give detailed, accurate accounts. So, if a child was traumatized by... Because the CPS agent said that he wanted to visit the kid at school. So, you could see how, even if it wasn't a traumatic experience, a 5-year-old kid could definitely be impacted by this thing. So, I mean, I don't think I really need to do all that research just to disprove Denham's misinformed point, but there you go, I guess.
No, you're not.
That's what I get for being in grad school. I'm like, I can't just say that's wrong. I gotta have a source.
Being able to remember, being able to recall memories. It's like 4 is the cutoff.
But yeah, if people are interested, the article is by Robin Fivush of Emory University. It's in the journal Development in Psychopathology, 1998. And it is called Children's Recollections of Traumatic and Non-Traumatic Events, if you are interested.
But even if you are forming any memories at 4, you're not going to be able to remember them past like...
Knowledge from the child. That children form traumatic memories at an age previous to 5.
So you're telling me that my brother can't have traumatic memory before the age of 5?
Before 18 months, I guess, is what this paper from 1998 is saying. But what Dunham says is different. I wouldn't take that as fact.
She's a trusted scientist, guys. Just, you know. She's next to RFK Jr., don't worry.
Honestly, similar levels of research, so...
Trustable source, yeah? Listen to them, you'll definitely be very smart by the end of today. You'll be Albert Einstein of this year. Groundbreaking discovery. Vaccines causes autism, guys. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like... I am a little frustrated at myself. I don't know why we spent actual time looking for a research paper to disprove somebody that just did not care. I don't know why we did that.
Ethan Klein's, like,
I mean, Conan, you might be interested if the Jubilee, the 1 doctor versus 20 anti-vax. Just watch the debate. It's like super hilarious, but it's very different, off topic to what we are watching. Very off topic. But it's worth a watch just to see how stupid people are. But it's damn funny.
Is about to be gagged if I walk in the room. I do not endorse.
Once again, who posted a story.
Oh, there you go. Bad empanada. So I guess, Icky, we were both wrong. Bad empanada is literally saying, I'm the one who called CPS on Ethan Klein. I want CPS to take his kids away.
I'm the one who called CPS on Ethan Klein. I want CPS to take his kids away because they are seriously in danger.
Yes, yes.
Oh, he made this video, I guess.
Today was pretty bad, wasn't it? Really sucked.
Oh god, she looks like that.
Yep.
The betrayal of one of your closest long-term friends, huh?
It's giving Riddler from the Batman.
Oh my god.
A taste.
He's literally, he's even wearing the green hoodie.
Just a small part of what we can organize for you. It's only gonna get worse. It's only gonna get worse, Mr. Klein. Every day.
Thank you for the hydrate. Cheers.
Just waiting in misery, in fear of what we have in store for you. Tick tock, the clock.
Maybe if he stops harassing other creators.
He
That
lets
looks
his
like me on
dogs
a Monday
shit all
morning.
over his mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor.
Maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find
Insult to
peace.
empanadas for sure. Yeah.
Covered in dog shit. And he has kids. And
A
his kids,
legitimately
like,
good
crawl into
food
the
completely
dog shit, and
ruined.
feel
I guess he
like
is called Bad
I'm
Empanada.
speaking up for a lot of people
He didn't call
who
himself
have
Good
problems.
Empanada.
I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it or if it's just from like contact with it with their hands or something.
I was particularly angry during this episode entitled Snark Called CPS on Us because I hold denims to be one of the primary reasons, in my opinion, why
I just had a thought. It would be wild if I wrote an academic essay on YouTube drama.
I mean, I wrote a paper about witchcraft. So
Based. Be like terror management theory and Idubbbz versus H3H3. A case study.
the impact of CPS and YouTube drama on the children of Ethan.
The impact of was it like psychology misinformation? Banger academic essay titles.
was called. Another one of their friends, Froggy Tonic, had been spreading the same malicious rumor about me on Twitter for days before CPS was called as well.
Personally, I find that point to be just like not needed because I think everything else is so bad and I just don't
Video
find it to
editor
be
named
important.
Froggy Tonic. I discovered him because he was in the circles.
I'm just gonna
online
skip this
at
because I just don't think it's relevant.
Another dog with
Convenient. My basement. How can you shun a fallen fan?
He is just another person that advocated for the CPS
I-
thing.
It's all wrong. The man is talking about my children. He's painting me as a terrible parent, a neglectful parent, and saying that whose claim to fame as being Idubbbz's friend and former editor, is spreading malicious, damaging rumors about.
And that's the more important thing. He's just another example of another friend that was contributing to this that Idubbbz did not speak up for.
That led to the CPS
Being poop
called,
mixed with
which,
yours.
by the
Hey,
way,
okay, I will say my bitrate is fine now. That's me knocking on wood. So it's not me this time. That's all you, Wireless. Thanks.
does not explain one time. Did not mention why I'm angry at Froggy Tonic. He did not mention why I'm angry at Denims. He did not mention the name of the episode. He did not mention what the episode was about. He actually has a perfect opportunity to explain the CPS call, but watch what he does here instead.
Now, my former editor of a year and a half ago did say some truly mean shit. He called Hila the C word. He said they're trying to kill their dog with cheddar cheese and a bunch of other shit.
What other shit, Ian? Other shit is doing a lot of heavy lifting, man. Now, why does this matter? Because Anissa was yucking it up with these guys during the period in which...
So just Anissa is Idubbbz's wife, and she's there's like rabbit holes that you can go down to. I'm not gonna make you do that. I'm protecting you all because I care.
When the CPS call was made, the CPS call is central to understanding this story. You cannot tell this story without that context, and to try to tell this story without including that detail, it would be the most bad faith.
Yeah, it's okay, Wireless. It's saving you.
Cruel, gaslighting hit piece of all time. Unfortunately, that's exactly what he did. He convinced his audience that the reason that I'm mad, that I'm lashing out, simply because I'm a raving lunatic. I am crashing out. I'm just crazy and harassing his friends for no reason. And by the way, to my good friend Ian of 8 years, I really appreciate you weaponizing my mental health against me.
To make Ethan crash out. He's having a parasocial...
Also, yeah,
crash
hold
out.
on.
People can have crash out moments.
This is also a great example of abuser tactics. I'm not saying that Idubbbz is an abuser. I am saying that he is using crazy making, right? Trying to delegitimize Ethan's feelings by saying that he's crazy, by decontextualizing his feelings and saying he's just crashing out. He's just saying all of these things. What he's not including is that this is a valid emotional reaction to CPS being called on him to take away his children. To try and take away his children. Is that a crash out or is that a valid emotional response?
Gaslighting.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, man.
Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help.
Someone who I've confided in over the years with my struggles with it, who understands what I've been through, the lengths that I've gone to work on myself and improve my mental condition. For him to throw that in my face, to characterize anything I'm doing as crashing out, that I need help, that I need
being narcissists.
You know, it's everybody but me. That's why you guys shouldn't watch anybody else, just me, okay? I'm the only one that's not a narcissist.
Wild take.
Some kind of treatment.
That was sarcasm, by the way. Not that I think you didn't pick up on. I'm just saying.
On a level I didn't think he would ever be possible of doing.
Can't be too sure.
Well, I don't think just because somebody's a content creator that they're narcissists. I do think that there's probably a lot of people with narcissistic traits that are content creators. It's just a, correlation, not a causation.
I'm curious. Can someone? Is NPD like? How is that developed? Is that like an environmental?
You know what? I'm not sure. We could look it up. Let's see. Psychopathology. That would be like psychopathology. Narcissistic. Nice. Spelled it right first try. Personality disorder. I will say, and I've said this before on stream, but I'm just saying it again as a disclaimer. Most of the information that you have on the internet that talks about narcissists is just misinformation. Most people in your life are not narcissists. Maybe they just don't like you. Comorbid narcissistic personality disorder in patients with borderline personality disorder. I mean, I can give a safe response that I'm pretty sure is just true without looking at the literature. And I will say that just as a disclaimer. It's probably a combination of inherent genetic traits and learned behavior. But I could be wrong. Let's see. We could look up like genetics.
Or is it a trauma response?
Maybe. It's possible. I think having personality traits that are narcissistic could be a response to trauma. Is my guess. But also, I'm not speaking from an informed perspective. I don't have much psychopathology. Common history and mental status examination. MSE. Presentation of MPD is highly variable, generally speak from a place of self-importance and may demand or expect special treatment. Okay, here's a carefully consider. I'm not going to go over that because I don't want people going around thinking that they can go around identifying it. Because I feel like once you give people epidemiology, pathophysiology, gray matter decreased volumes in the prefrontal and insular regions, gray matter reduction in the right prefrontal and interior cingulate cortices. So there's a biological factor. I don't know if it's genetic. But I think that's kind of hard to say because a lot of our neurobiology isn't always just about our genetics. It's also like our actions can rewire our brains to a certain degree. So that doesn't mean that they're just born with less gray matter. It could be. It's hard to... I'm just not sure. History. Likely to reveal tumultuous relationships. I'm looking for things like... Descriptions of empathy are limited when discussing failed relationships. Biological, psychological, social, and developmental factors. So, yeah, it's pretty much, yeah, what I was saying.
Okay.
Is a combination of biological, biopsychosocial, is what we would say.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go. Here's the reference. That's the last updated 2024, so there you go.
Very good. Thank you.
Hammering on is that I'm hating on him, I'm harassing him, simply because he's following people on Twitter.
We're not gonna run to your defense when, I don't know, we follow people. We be following. That's one.
That is interesting. Maybe it's like an ego thing. Is that what you're kind of getting at, Icky? Is like maybe he's not even realizing that it's about the CPS call because he's just so focused on being called out. He doesn't even care about the context.
No, I wasn't even going in that direction, but no, just noticing how people are not noticing all these behaviors and bad decisions that they're making in this drama and thinking that they're all right, not being able to see things clearly and objectively, you know. And it's like from third party perspective, from our perspective, it's just like, can you not see how fucked up it is to like involve kids?
Yeah.
In this like feud, like it's like imagine the damage that it would do being separated from your parents for what? From yeah.
Yeah, because you disagree with somebody's politics. Yeah, not okay.
It's ugly. It's like narcissism.
Yeah, and I think from what it sounds like you're saying, it sounds not in like a psychological way, but it's just like it seems narcissistic to not have any empathy in that like just to think that's okay, that like the ends justify the means and the means are me calling CPS.
Thing
I don't see.
About Anissa and I is when we're on Twitter.
Yeah, and also I guess the ego.
I'm not upset,
aspect.
Ian, because you follow people. That is absurd. I'm mad because you are actively engaging with these people on social media, in DMs, while this harassment is happening, seemingly indifferent to it, silent on it. In a sense, I felt like you were more on their side than my side.
Our silence means something. It means that we would like to pause this relationship until you figure your shit out.
Our silence means something. That's exactly what we felt. Wow, it's almost like we were right about you. There's something that I've never talked about publicly, but around the same time, We received 2 human skulls in the mail at our home.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring this up because I knew it was going to be in the video. They received 2 human skulls in the mail as a result of this.
Led us to having a very pleasant interview with the FBI. Things have progressed well past the point of that's just what the internet...
Does that count? I think that counts as a death threat, right? Does being sent human skulls count as a death threat? I feel like it does.
I think one could argue, yes.
It is not unreasonable to assume that being sent skulls of the human variety would be a threat on one's life.
Skull means death.
Maybe they're just like, I know you and Hila are practicing for your Hamlet performance. We just wanted to give you... We just wanted to give you a prop, you know, high quality prop.
Ian had a recent revelation. He's
Actually, we're aspiring morticians.
Yeah, we're trying to understand biology. It highly depends on the situation. There was a stalking case where it wasn't considered a threat. I see. Yeah. Do we think in this situation, is it a death threat? I feel like... I don't know if it's a death threat, but it is a threat. It's ominous.
At least an harassment.
Yeah, it's communicating something. There's 2 of them, 2 skulls. They're human skulls. I think if you sent somebody like a bird skeleton, it's more arguable that it is not a threat. Human skulls, I feel like, is a special.
I mean, could it have been a hacks? Isn't that like a witchcraft thing too? Sometimes?
A what?
A witchcraft.
Like being sent skulls? Or like dead birds?
Hacks and stuff.
Interesting. I don't know. I have a feeling... Well, I don't know. Maybe it's like... Yeah, that's for some reason I don't feel like that's the case in this situation. Okay. It would be much more interesting, and I'd feel less concerned about them being sent skulls.
Just thinking about my next witchcraft paper.
And discovered empathy at age 32.
Oh yeah, this is a wild clip.
I think only in these past couple of years have I gained the ability empathy. And I'm very ashamed to admit that. It sounds really pathetic to say at the age of 32 I've acquired empathy, but I have, and I've realized it because I just like can't help myself. I'm just gonna say, I get what Ethan's trying to say. Because this isn't a Nazi thing. This is a Buddhist symbol. It's gonna appear on Japanese katanas because it's a Buddhist symbol. Like that, it's not a Nazi iron cross. Can't help myself.
It's a Buddhist swastika.
Like feel for other people's pain and suffering. Now, I'm still not perfect. I think that is, my empathy meter's only maybe like a quarter of the way.
My day is pretty funny right now that I got up and basically an hour into it. This is how you started it. Good morning. Once we're done this video, I'll keep covering other current events. So, but I do think the reason why I find this, I don't even know if I'd call it drama, because I think at this point it's like almost, it's like a little, I mean, it would be called a case study. It's like a case study of internet culture and politics. Once you pull on the thread, it's involved in so many other aspects of online discourse about politics, about religion, about identity, about mental health. Like, I mean, look at all the little tangents that we went on. We talked about MPD. We talked about childhood trauma, like when is childhood trauma formed. We talked about Israel-Palestine. We talked about like language, how like language is used. I mean, that's I think why I find this interesting, is there's so many different parts of it that you can dive into and then understand the English speaking internet. It's just fascinating.
Potentially, but it's at least there.
In the spirit of his newfound enlightenment, he had this to say.
I have made some cruel, hurtful content, and I need to acknowledge that, and I'm really sorry that it's taken me this long to acknowledge it. The content I'm talking about specific.
Guys, who has the better beard, me or Hassan?
No comment.
Darn it. Alright, I'm gonna have to keep growing it out.
Content cop videos and videos where I was
Thank you.
just generally criticizing people for very lackluster reasons, and you know, obviously didn't have any accountability online whatsoever on my end. I was morally grandstanding and acting as if I am any better than any of these people that I was making content cop videos on, and I'm not. I'm a human, I'm a real human who makes mistakes, and you know, I make a different set of mistakes than the people I was making videos on, but it doesn't matter. I don't think anyone deserves that level of cruelty or hate. It's also indoctrinated a lot of people into thinking that this is an okay way to behave, and it's not.
What happened? Am I so uniquely evil that you're willing to abandon your newfound principles after, what, less than a year? What is it that I've done, Ian, that makes me more detestable than any of the other people that you've content copped? And for what did you do this? To revitalize your dying career? This entire video reeks of desperation, of being thrown together, and poorly researched. I don't really even understand why they did this, and I can't imagine that it's going to be worth it. Thanks for the 8 years of friendship, buddy. Have fun with your new friends.
What a banger way to end the video. Well, thoughts? What do we think about this situation?
I believe you too.
Saying that you can't be traumatized and have no memories at 3 is insane. I'm all like that. It's just, oh man. I don't understand how Idubbbz can make a video talking about how he lacked empathy. He discovered empathy at what, 8:32 or something?
Age 32.
Yeah. And then he's like, I just can't make content cops anymore because it's not empathetic. It's not the right thing to do. I'm a human as well. And then he makes this video. He makes the content cop about Ethan, where he brings all the people that are implicated in harassment in calling CPS. He just brings them into one room, and it's just wrong. It's like the tweet meme, like, I'm the starving child and this is the last thing I saw. That's how you feel when you see things like that. What is it? Twitter. Starving child. Yeah, that one. I'm a starving child starving to death, and it's the very last thing I have ever read. Goodbye.